I can't believe I'm gonna say this to start off the video, but oh my god, Penny Parker is actually meta, so let's talk about it. Hello everybody, my name is Abby. Welcome to today's video where I'll be breaking down pro player Dongmin's Penny Parker gameplay and how it absolutely changed the tides in the match between 100 Thieves versus Sentinels. And I think his performance was very underrated, so we're not even going to waste any time and we're going to get straight into it. So why and where would you play Penny Parker, right? Penny's strength is she's really good at being an anchor tank that can lock down a location and then hold that personal space. Now, the thing that makes this really important is that Devil Dinosaur typically has a gameplay loop that is very much centered around the same logic and idea. Devil Dinosaur also really just wants to sit down, lock down a location, and pretty much punish anybody that contests that space. Now, pair Devil Dinosaur's strength with Penny's strength, which is when Penny locks down a location and her nest comes online, that nest begins to provide overhealth and a speed boost, which also allows better map control for both the two tanks. Pair that together with some of the supports like Invisible Woman, White Fox, and Rocket Raccoon, and you have a very difficult tank line and overall sustain throughout a team comp to even burst through. Then you just add a DPS that can do great follow-up like Elsa Bloodstone, and you have a very powerful team comp for 100 Thieves to deal with. So here we are in the match right now, and Dogman is already trying to get set up on this off angle over here, looking for some early sticks, applying some grenades just to set up a little trap. And the two tanks from Sentinels have map control, with the enemy Groot looking to walk in, but over here 100 Thieves does try to shut down this Penny because they know if the Penny gets set up, then they will have full map control and it'll be very difficult for them to get into position. Now you can see the two tanks are playing a little bit split. They've not grouped up just yet because they're looking for different opportunities to punish somebody from the enemy team. Now right here is where the Penny nest does come online, but the enemy team does take it down and they are being pressured a little bit more. Sentinels being pushed back, but it's okay. They have the sustain and the overall pressure to hold down this position, and it's just coming down to a war of attrition. Crimzo looks for the carry. With the carry coming in, Dogman follows up with a stun on the enemy Devil Dino TTK. TTK is finally taken down, and then now map control shifts in favor of Sentinels, where it looked like they were being pushed back, but both Dogman and Crimzo played that incredibly well, playing that really safe, looking for that perfect carry into the backline with the stun from Dogman, and then overall map controls in their favor. Now 100 Thieves is looking to flip that around and make a comeback with the Adam Soulborn push, but it just didn't work out in their favor. Both teams have a lot of ultimates coming online in just a moment as well, and right now here we go again. The Crimzo and Flame A on the Rocket using their ultimates together to apply as much damage as possible. Millennia did use the Mantis ultimate to keep the team alive and move them around the map. It wasn't enough. However, Penny, once again, her ability to apply stuns constantly shuts down enemy tank momentum to the point that it becomes very difficult for tanks to get control of the map, and that's exactly how Penny Parker can be such a formidable tank to deal with in the game. Now, what's important to understand is where Penny excels as a tank. She really works well in these like tight corner rooms. She doesn't like open maps per se, although there's one map that she can work on really well. We'll talk about this some other day. But Penny really loves these like tight room maps. So the Hydra base map is like a paradise for Penny. Now over here, Dogman, what he's doing, right? Like he's anticipating that perhaps the enemy team might start pushing. So he wants his traps spread out in as many places as possible, because if the enemy Devil Dino, charges in or looks for like, a push, well, there's going to be a lot of burst damage thrown his way. So now the enemy team, as you can see, they're really smart. They were taking out the different grenades. Now Dogman does feel like he's taking a lot more pressure. TTK is now on Emma Frost, who is a little bit better into the Penny compared to the Dinosaur, and of course Groot is pretty decent into Penny as well. However, Dogman's movement is just so damn good in controlling the map. Now he does get caught a little bit over there by the enemy's backline, and he's able to use the res beacon to come back, but unfortunately fortune is not in his favor. But if that team fight worked out, they would close out this map with the Penny. Now Yusher on the Elsa was able to flip the fight just a little bit, and Dogman, what he's doing right now is just looking to try and find a way to stabilize this fight, regroup with his team, and not feed. So That is really important to also note, everybody, is that you have to make sure you're not feeding on Penny Parker. Dogman backs up a little bit and is now waiting for his team to regroup. They do have the Galartrox, they do have the ultimate on the side of Flame, with the Rocket Raccoon, the damage boost, the big 40% damage boost. And here we go. Rocket Raccoon damage boost comes online, whole team is on the point now. Galartrox coming in, carries the enemy Groot, gets stunned by the Dogman's Penny Parker webs, but unfortunately the Vinny was able to use Groot's ultimate to group everybody together, and they were able to flip the fight. Oasis looking for, if she can perhaps turn the fight around on Invis, but it just didn't work out, and that's okay. So this is where, Dogman finally swaps off the Penny, and this is a good, I think what's important is not only when these characters are entering the meta, when do you know when should I swap off the character. Obviously on Penny, when you should be swapping off the character, if you feel like the enemy has too much poke damage pressure being thrown at your way. So if we take a pause for just a moment and try to analyze Dogman's switch over here, look at what the enemy team is now playing. Now, we have Groot has a tech where if he puts a wall up on the Penny nest, it immediately destroys it. Now, you can play around it to a limited degree, right? But now pair the fact that TTK is on Emma Frost, who is, pretty good into Penny herself. Then you account for the fact that there's 4 poke characters with Adam Warlock, with Loki, with the Mantis, with the Delena on the Punisher. That's a lot of poke damage being thrown at that Penny Parker, right? So at that point, it's kind of like, okay, now I know I need to know when to swap. So one of the beautiful things about playing a hero shooter is you should also know when to swap. So Dogman clearly understands that, and he's looking, to just look for that off angle over here, wait for his team to regroup with him, and look for some really aggressive push that they can find. Now here we go, whole team on the high ground rotating this map over here. They do have Crimzo's Dinosaur ultimate, and all they have to do is pretty much enable that. Dogman looking for the crystal, keeping himself alive, working on taking out that big Groot wall that gives him the CC immunity. Unfortunately, it's just not working out in his favor. Crimzo finally uses his ultimate and starts pushing in with the team. They don't have any support ults just yet, but Oasis just got, the invisible boundary, and it goes up online. Now Crimzo still trying to stabilize with Dogman, but there's just too much poke pressure towards that other composition, which makes it very difficult for Sentinels to stabilize. And you guys know how it is, man. That Mantis damage boost, the Loki, Mantis team up that enables even stronger damage boost, it is very difficult to get through. So there is one hope that they can do. Oasis actually got a really beautiful last minute touch over here. You can see her across the map, and right now Dogman and Crimzo are able to use the Doctor Strange portal to get into position. Amazing with the Moon Knight ultimate to get into position and basically, establish map control. So now we have the map control on our side, and Dogman uses the Emma Frost ultimate to charm the enemy. Hopefully, either she can pressure them off with the Emma Frost ultimate, or, get a kill or two here and there. Now again, it's all about staying alive, playing for that map control. Both double shield tanks doing their best to mitigate the damage from the poke comp and just play around the map a little bit. And you can see over here, things are going in the favor of the Sentinels. It is a very messy fight, but they are going to try and make it work. Yusha does have that Galartrox, and I think he does want to be a little bit more conservative with that Galartrox, and the Emma Frost is beginning to work out for both sides. TTK on the other side just killed Crimzo, but he's back from the rocket res beacon, and Dogman was in a position to get the kill, but it just didn't work out. Galartrox finally had to be used to try and stabilize the fight, and right there, amazing, an exiting, moon, just moon talons drop down on the enemy's head. But again, Adam's soul bond, pair that with Mantis and Loki, it is very annoying. And this is why in pro play, everybody, Mantis is such an important ban that has to go through, right? Like when Mantis is in the lobby, her triple support comp, which is this version, is really difficult to deal with, and that is exactly where at the moment the map control will go in 100 Thieves' favor. But we still have another objective and point left to talk about, so let's see what happens now. Now things didn't go out there. Now things didn't really go in the favor of the Sentinels, so they bring out a surprise Iron Man pick, and we're going to analyze that in tomorrow's video. So if you want to see why Iron Man has finally entered the meta, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and we will learn how to play Iron Man in this meta, because he's actually a very underrated pick that has caught the world by storm, making everybody rethink their tier list. That perhaps we're in a very interesting meta where Iron Man and Penny Parker might low-key be big players with Devil Dinosaur and against Devil Dinosaur. So right now Sentinels trying to make a traditional brawl comp with Dino plus Emma Emma. Like, this is, the new meta tank line. They have really good map control right here. Big choke slam, and unfortunately, super jump kind of screws over Dogman, but I do think he intended to use it to survive, because you saw like there was 5 people like looking to poke at him. So really smart play by him. Vinny trying to move in. Delena was taken down by Dogman, and Dogman, like, this is just Dogman's flexibility on like the tank role is beautiful to watch. He's such an incredible off-tank player to see in action, man. Like, look at this absolute control. This whole map just goes in his favor, so you can clearly tell Dogman's not happy not playing that pocket Penny Parker pick. So he's just showing the enemy team just how powerful he can be once he gets, like, a nice position on the Emma Frost. And if you saw over there for a split second, if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna pull this back a little bit. Look at the awareness of Dogman, like how he looks out for his teammate, right? He knows Amazing is going for that Iron Man ultimate, and he has positioned the wall above to protect him so that Iron Man ultimate can go out there safely, right? This is like that lower accurate Iron Man X Emma Frost, gameplay going on over here. Tony and Emma, in that Invincible Iron Man comic run, they were always looking out for one another. So it's like beautiful to see that happen in pro play now, where Iron Frost has entered the meta. We will talk about that tomorrow, everybody. We will talk about the Iron Frost meta in the game as well. So I know you guys are here for the Penny Parker, and I will skip to the parts of the game where Dogman did go back on Penny. I just wanted you guys to see just how beautiful and versatile he can be for the rest of this map. Dogman pretty much did stick on to Emma just because he felt that brawling was way more important. But for the third and final map, this is where things get really interesting. For the third and final map, Dogman actually starts on the Emma, right? And he sees the enemy composition. You can see his mindset. You can see the wheels in his brain turning. You can see that he's considering that, oh, they're playing a dive version of the Devil Dinosaur composition. They have Captain America, they have Psylocke, they have Daredevil. They got both dive complementing supports with Rocket and Luna. So now Dogman feels a lot more uncomfortable because, Emma's not exactly that good into dive. So he's just trying to waste his resources over here. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, then he's not looking to overstay his welcome. You can pretty much tell that Dogman does want to go back to Penny now because he feels really comfortable on the Penny, right? And Penny right now, we will see why Penny is so good in this meta as well. So Dogman stabilizing around this map, and he's looking for those burst damage picks, and he does a really good job. Right now, it's anybody's game because we have two down on the Sentinel side, 1 down on 100 Thieves' side, but they lost the support. So I mean, if you lose the support compared to 2 DPS, you can still turn the fight around. Dogman's looking to do exactly that, but he has to waste his time with Diamond Form trying to take out that Rocket Beacon. Unfortunately, not enough burst damage on his side because they did lose both the DPS. So now Dogman decides that, okay, there is no reason to play Emma Frost. Emma is not good at countering dive, guys. Remember that Emma is good when there's like 1 or 2 divers that she has to deal with, and you can slow down the momentum. But this is exactly that niche that Penny Parker excels in. So you can see Dogman, not scared to play the Penny Parker, typically considered a bit of a meme pick in rank, right? But now Dogman wants to show people that actually Penny is a character that you definitely want to take seriously. So once again, he's taking position forward, stunning that Devil Dinosaur, trying to get into position, because Penny, once the nest is up, once she has that map control, it is very difficult for Dive as a composition to play into her. Crimzo right there, grouping everybody up together with that Strangling Prison. I believe that's what the ultimate is called, right? Unless I'm remembering something from League of Legends, then I'm so sorry. But either way, they have the map control, and you can already see from Penny just being immediately coming into the lobby, you can see 100 Thieves feeling so uncomfortable, right? And look at how immediately they want to respond to the Penny Parker pick, right? This is something so beautiful to see in real time, that they are immediately respecting the Penny Parker pick, and they have immediately swapped off the dive comp, right? Vinny is on Groot now, Self is on Ultron, Delena is on that Punisher. Okay, so they saw Penny and they were like, no, we're not going to play dive into Penny, right? So remember, guys, Penny excels in this current meta, but you have to know where you're playing her and why. And that's why I showed a little bit of Emma Frost gameplay as well, that like if you want to have like a hero pool of like Emma and Penny right now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because both characters are in a pretty good spot, especially Penny. I think she's always been a bit of an underrated pick, but she has such select spots that she can work. Now I want you guys to pay attention to Dogman's movement, how he's using his webs, how he's like swinging around the map, right? Where he's trying to like initiate the map control. He's really trying to make the enemy just feel completely uncomfortable, right? Right now, they are playing into Dogman, and they have counter swap. So he knows that if we give up any important space where they can get that sight line onto the nest, I am screwed. So Dogman, you can see, he's trying his level best to just reposition constantly. He's constantly moving around the map, not trying to be a static wall. Rather, he's almost playing Penny like it's a brawl tank rather than a static anchor tank. He doesn't want to die. Now, they do have Penny's ultimate to re-engage this, point if they need to, and you can see Dogman is looking for it. He's constantly peeking that angle. He wants to, zip up over there. He's trying to like set up a trap that if the enemy supports walk back into, perhaps he gets a kill. Now with Dino being stunned up and them having momentum on their side, Dogman's a little bit in trouble, but he has that ultimate as a second life if he needs it. Being pushed back just a little bit more. Dogman finally activates the Penny Parker ultimate just to stay alive. He does get tossed down. What an incredible play by TTK on the Devil Dinosaur. You could almost tell that TTK was anticipating that if this Penny worked out a bit too well, then I need to save my carry and just come back and, blow them up from there. So now Dogman going over to the Doctor Strange to bring out the portal and then immediately set up on point. Vinny getting that 2K, which is pretty much just like anybody's map at this point, right? And Dogman, like, you have to know when to be a team player. So it's good that you guys see not only Penny in action, but also know where and when to swap off Penny, right? So we have seen Penny's strength and we have seen Penny's weaknesses in pro play. I think there was Navi who ran it, but I thought that that match didn't do the Penny pick justice, because I want to show you guys when the pick is working, when the pick isn't working, and what to do. Now, last minute touch from Crimzo and the rest of Sentinels just before they can lose the map to 100 Thieves, and Dogman is pretty pissed. You can tell, man, Dogman doesn't want to swap off that Penny. He wanted to play with that new skin and everything and kind of flex, but TTK, you can see TTK is scared of Dogman. There's so much resources being thrown at Dogman's way that if Dogman gets going, we're kind of screwed. And you can see why Vinny just got bullied, man. When Emmerfrost hits that 100% damage increase beam, it is pretty much over. It's like Zarya from Overwatch, man. That beam just completely shreds through everything in her path. Even worse if the crystal is pulled out against the tank. Now Sentinels have map control, Iron Man in the sky, Punisher set up on the side, Crimso's got the front line locked down, Doctor Strange portal coming through. They are going to try and see if they can squeeze their way through, swapping up into a bit of a bit of a weird composition. 100 Thieves, you can see that they're like the pressure is getting to them, and here we go. Crimso using the Dinosaur ultimate, going berserk and moving his way in. Yusha pulling out the Punisher ultimate as well, clearing through the pathway and just bursting down 100 Thieves, and the map just goes in Sentinel's favor. So everybody, that is the pro player breakdown for Dogman on why Penny Parker has entered the meta, where does she swap off, and where can you keep playing her, and when you should consider playing another character. Emma Frost is not a bad fallback option either. So with that being said, everybody, hope you enjoyed the pro player breakdown. We have more coming up. Same match we're going to break down with, Rymazing's Iron Man, and how it was another key factor with Dogman's off-tank gameplay in just completely destroying 100 Thieves. So that video will come out tomorrow. With that being said, I will see you in that video.